postseason continues, heading to regionals.
Yep.
Talk to me, what are the thoughts entering the meet?
Well, I mean, the regional meet's all about one thing. It's getting qualified for nationals. I mean, that's really it. Obviously, there's years when that's unrealistic, and so you take the small victories of, have you moved up? Do you get individuals to nationals? But right now we have two teams that, based on where we're at in the year, kind of how the SEC meet went, even though we're not ecstatic with the SEC meet didn't go perfectly, but we're still in a position where on both sides it's very realistic to get the nationals. I think we'll be on the women's side. It's a lot of the same characters. Throw Tulane in there, they're pretty good. Throw SMU in there, they're pretty good. But I mean, it looks like on paper it's going to be a battle with us and LSU to try to win the thing. On the men's side, on paper, it looks like Tulane's really good. They've just kind of reloaded from the team they had last year, and it's going to be us, Arkansas, Texas, kind of in that next group, trying to get that second, automatic spot.
How important is it to be able to, obviously you've raced a lot of your main competition earlier this year at the conference meet and even earlier during the regular season. How good is that to have seen them, see what they race, how they race, taking that into the meet?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to see people. It gives you a little bit, especially if you beat them, it gives you a little confidence. Whereas there's a couple teams in there that we haven't seen, but the main players are, the SEC schools and SMU. They've been to our home meet. So yeah, it's good to see them. It's good to give you confidence and as to where you stack up with people, because sometimes you go into a meet and you've only. And I think this happened a little bit at the SEC, because we hadn't, going into the SEC meet, we hadn't seen many of the other SEC teams. And so they're just, they're just, you're basing your perception on like their national ranking, for example. So we go into that meet, for example, and I think, Missouri on the women's side was ranked 23rd in the country going in, and Tennessee was ranked 27th. Well, we're 3 points behind Missouri, and we beat Tennessee, and it kind of opened for our women, it kind of opened their eyes like, okay, I guess we're right in that mix too. And then on the men's side, we Ole Miss had a rough day and we beat them pretty handily. I think they're ranked 24th, 25th in the country, and our guys were like, and our guys walked away going, geez, we're way better than that. We should have ran even better than we did. So yeah, it's good to see people. And in fact, going forward, I think next year I'm already thinking about, we're going to try to make sure we see more of those teams earlier in the season.
So obviously, you've got a couple leaders that have kind of taken the pack and really stepped up. So I'm looking on the women's side, I'm looking at Deborah, I'm looking at Joyce, I'm looking at Megan.
Yep.
How do you feel they're setting the tone for this women's team, which is obviously very young, but still really talented?
Yeah, they're a good core group at the front, and they do a great job training together. And Sophia, our freshman, Sophia Bendet's right behind them, right there. She's ready to have a great race and ready to be right there with them at the regional meet. And it just, they're going to have to set the tone for us, because I told them after the SEC meet, they ran a little conservatively. I'm like, hey, listen, we need to stick our nose in there. We need to be up there. We need to have 2-3 girls in that top 10 at the regional meet, and we're capable of doing that. We do that. Put two in the top 10, the third in the top 15, the fourth in the top 20, 25, and the fifth in the top 30, 35, which we're, on paper, that's what we should do. If we do that, we're fine.
And then looking at the men, kind of a little bit different. They've kind of got like a wealth of experience. You're obviously led by Cooper. You've got Jack, who's a real strong competitor. And then Odyssey, third team. Talk to me about that group and then kind of the leadership you're seeing from the front. Yeah,
I mean, it's been great, obviously, as I mentioned earlier this year, having Cooper back. He provides that on the course leadership, but he had a little bit of a rough day at SEC meet, and Jack Johnson stepped up and took care of business for us and did a nice job. So they provide good leadership. And then Yusuf and Victor, even though it's their first year running for us in cross country, they've got a wealth of experience too, and they're going to be our key. Those four guys are going to be our key. We need to have those four guys in the top 15 at worst at the regional meet, and then Carter Gordy, who's just been Mr. Reliable at number 5. He needs to be in the top 25. We do that, and we'll be in a really good position. And then you got even freshman Gavin Chappa, who's kind of been on the verge of that top 5 when in the big meets. He's right there, and so throw him and Hunter Jackson in there. Those guys need to do a great job backing up, kind of right there backing up Carter Gordy.
And then finally, for me, what do you think the biggest lesson both teams learned at the conference meet that they'll take into this regional meet?
I actually think that on the women's side, I think it was the lesson was probably were a little better than they thought they were, because I think they just didn't go into, after getting third at Barrios, they didn't go into it with a tremendous amount of confidence. And then to see LSU, who beat us handily at the Barrios, to see them just 16 points in front of us, and Missouri 3 points in front of us, and we're like, man, we're right, top 4 positions right there, right in front of us, and we just kind of let it slip away a little bit. On the men's side, I think it's more of a, man, we didn't have a very good race. We kind of were flat out there, and we still were just right in the middle of the pack. I think maybe that gives them a little bit of confidence. Well, I think they're a little bit more. I think probably walked away from the SEC a little angrier. The women walked away like, wow, we're better than we thought we were, and the men walked away going, we need to not let that happen again.